Hi, welcome back to PC Builder. I'm Jason. We've got a crazy update for this month's GPU price update. Yes, many prices have come down, but some are going back up. What in the heck is going on? And NVIDIA, they promised to cut prices in July. Did they actually follow through, or are we gonna call BS on them? Got a major development that just got announced that's gonna obliterate GPU prices in September. You're gonna wanna find out about it. If you get value out of this video, give it a like. It makes a huge difference to the channel. And of course, subscribe and click that bell icon. That way you get notified when we release cool content. With that, let's jump into it. Before that, this video is sponsored by VIP SCD Key. Say goodbye to crazy expensive Windows 10 licenses and that terrible Activate Windows 10 watermark. Right now, use the links in the video description, head over to VIP SCD Key, and get a Windows 10 Home or Pro OEM license for a great price. Pick your product license, then use the PC Builder discount code PC25 for an additional 25% off. Go to the activation settings on your PC, put in the code, and boom, you have a fully licensed Windows 10 for a crazy low price, which can be upgraded for free to Windows 11. Use the links in the video description below. Let's start off where else? Pricing for new GPUs in the US, then we'll take a look at used pricing, best price to performance GPUs in August, and some crazy news coming down the pike. But in terms of pricing for this month, it's all over the place. Let's take a look. Let's start off with AMD because NVIDIA, we're gonna beat them up a little bit later. So let's start off with the RX 6900 XT, down 10%, was $799 last month, $719 this month. Again, the card that's leading the way is the ASRock RX 6900 XT Phantom Gaming D. Good card, looks nice, and when this GPU continues to come down, this is always the cheapest one and the first with the massive price reductions. And it's understandable that AMD is going to continue to reduce prices at the high end because NVIDIA is looking to do so as well. But the huge price decrease this month, it's the RX 6800 XT. Every month I've been beating up AMD saying, what the heck is going on with the 6800 XT? Why is the price so high? Finally, somebody heard me out there, and we have a number of models now that went from about $760 all the way down to $639. That's a 16% price decrease, 120 bucks. And if you take a look at it, pretty good models. Again, we've got the ASRock Radeon 6800 XT, the Phantom Gaming D. With rebate, we've got an MSI model, just a number of models around this with the promos like the Gigabyte model here with another 60 bucks off to get it down to $639. Finally, somebody out there heard me saying this GPU doesn't make any sense in this market, and they fixed the price. Unfortunately, nobody heard me on the 6800. While the price decrease last month was great to $579, it actually went back up 3% to $599. We won't bother to go through the models. It's okay, but geez, for 40 bucks more, I'd get the 6800 XT. And then we get some nice price decreases, but we wish we had more. The Radeon RX 6700 XT down 20 bucks from $449 to $429 this month. Pretty good models. And I will note that the 6750 XT is also seeing a price decrease as well. So the models are like, the ASRock Radeon RX 6700 XT Challenger. We've got the MSI Mech ones. But if we also jump down in the 6750 XT, we can see there's an MSI Mech one for $470 now after the rebate. Remember, rebates are just going to be a thing. Pricing is so screwed up. That's the only way prices are coming down right now is manufacturers are helping out the retailers who ordered these cards when they were much more expensive, and now they're forced to sell them off at a loss without these rebates. And the big winners, of course, this month again, the RX 6600 XT down to $299, sub $300 for this GPU, down 8% from $324, $325 last month. And you can find models both at Amazon as well as Newegg. Newegg does not have necessarily the lowest price, monopoly on this one, which is great because for so long during the GPU crisis, a lot of the sellers on Amazon were these third-party scalpers, and it was absolutely terrible. So it is nice to see Amazon beginning to return to some sanity. You actually are going to buy this directly from the manufacturer, in this case, Power Color. This is the Power Color Fighter for $299, or you're going to buy it directly from Amazon or a reputable third-party seller, which is fantastic. And then, of course, the other big one, and I think this GPU price is pretty much bottoming out at this point. RX 6600 down $5, down 2%. Now, a lot of the decrease from last month was actually a Prime Day deal. It was $254 at the time on Prime Day. Now it's $249, and this is where I think it's going to sit. You can see there's a couple different different models here with the $10 off. This is the light model, the Sapphire Plus. It means it only has 2 video outs, but if you don't want that one, there's the MSI Mac, and of course Amazon has several models as well. So just take your pick here, but I think the 6600, we'll probably see this price absolutely bottoming out. Remember, it actually does cost something to manufacture these cards. I don't think they're going to sell these at a loss, given that these cards are not going to be replaced anytime soon in terms of next gen GPUs. And then rounding out is a GPU that I don't want anybody to actually go out there and buy, and that is the RX 6500 XT. We're just listing it here for market data. Price completely unchanged, down to $185. But as we take a step back, we can see AMD massively reduce the cost of their higher end GPUs, while at the same time the 6600 XT fell another 8%. That GPU looks great, especially when you compare it to the NVIDIA competition, which we're gonna do right now. Before we jump into those NVIDIA prices, let's remember that last month, just after I released my video, NVIDIA said, we're gonna cut prices on our RTX 3000 GPUs. Let's see if they actually did it though, because as we take a look at the numbers, I'm not so sure. Now, starting at the high end, things are looking good. RTX 3090 went down $450 from $1,500 in July to $1,050 in August. And again, good models. These are all with rebates, obviously. $50 rebate here, $40 rebate there. MSI Ventus models. We've got some Zotac ones. Pretty good start. However, I would not recommend anybody buy the 3090. We'll get into that when we talk about the best GPUs for the money, because of course we got next gen GPUs coming. And another plus for NVIDIA, hey, RTX 3080 Ti came down 16% to $844 from $1,009. Doing pretty good so far. Again, not a GPU that I would recommend anybody run out and buy, given its price to performance and the impending release of next gen GPUs coming towards the end of this year. But hey, if you need something right now at the high end, you know, $50 off, that gets you to $844 for an RTX 3080 Ti 12GB. But here's where things get a little dicey for NVIDIA, because the RTX 3080, for all their vaunted, oh my gosh, run out and buy one now because the prices are dropping so fast, the price on the RTX 3080 only came down $20. That's right, 3%, a lousy $20 from their big sale event. And if we took a look at the models, you know, listen, not bad models. They are 12GB models. They're like the Zotac one here for $749. They've got gigabyte models, that's a 10GB. You can definitely hunt and peck, and you can also find some of these on Amazon for around the same price, but not really a price decrease in NVIDIA. I don't see $20 on a $769 GPU as a huge price cut. You better run out and grab it now. And then if we look at the RTX 3070 Ti, again, I hate this GPU. It's only about 4% faster than the 3070. I don't know why anyone would pay $112 extra for it. Did come down 6% last month. That's okay. The big winner here though, RTX 3070 coming down to a much more reasonable price. It's now $538. It's still over its MSRP. Don't get me wrong, it's still over its MSRP. And you can get it at Amazon right here. $538 is the Zotac model. There are other models like MSI and Gigabyte for about $550. But the big price decrease, and it happened as I'm filming this video, I actually had to adjust some of these numbers in the spreadsheet. $449 now, down about $50 off the RTX 3060 Ti. I think they realize that they're getting absolutely plastered by the 6700 XT, which is a better GPU than the 3060 Ti, and they're not being able to lean into their brand identity as much as they used to, because people are waiting at the high end right now. But if you want, hey, here's a Gigabyte Eagle model. Again, not the flashiest model, right? These are going to be lowest cost model for $449. Not too bad. The other models are $469 to $480, including a nice all-white one if you're looking for an all-white build. But unfortunately, that's kind of where the party ends for NVIDIA. Yes, the RTX 3060, just right now, there was a model that dropped to $369 from $385. It's a 4% decrease. But honestly, as soon as this model sells out, and this model is going to sell out because this is what happens. They drop one model down to this, and I see a 379 model just dropped as well. But after that, you're paying over $400 for this card. For over $400, you know what you can get? A 6700 XT. It destroys the 3060. It's not even close. I'm calling some BS on NVIDIA's huge price cuts. Nonsense. Especially when you look at the GPU that they trot out all the time as their, oh, this is our budget GPU, which is the RTX 3050, which gets destroyed by the 6600, let alone the 6600 XT, because this thing's sitting at $315. Yes, it did come down $10 $10 from last month where it was at $324, but give me a break. I will say that if you're somebody who absolutely will not consider an AMD GPU and you're in this price range, the GPU to look at right now is actually the RTX 2060. Again, not really that competitive against the 6600, let alone the 6600 XT, but you can find models down to $230 now. That's very new. This is a 3-slot model. It's not my favorite model because of the size, but hey, 3-slot GPUs have become not that big a deal. There's one for $270, $279. So this is a much better GPU, performs better than the 3050, and it's a lot cheaper right now. So overall, if we take a look at the GPU market, I'm going to call a lot of BS on NVIDIA. Yes, of course, they're cutting the 3090 and the 3080 Ti. 3060 Ti cuts were kind of nice too. They came unexpectedly, but I'm calling BS because they know that they have to get rid of those cards because next-gen GPUs are right around the corner, and those are the GPUs that are going to be replaced first. The 3050, the 3060, they're not budging on because they know they're not going to give you another model that replaces that until sometime next year, and they also know AMD's unlikely to do so until later in 2023 as well. And just taking a look at the GPU price history chart here, we can see, yes, at the high end, we see these GPUs falling, but for most of the GPUs in the middle, we see pricing somewhat flat. And a typical trend is GPUs to lose price over time as we get closer and closer to their replacement. That's normal. So it's normal to see these kinds of price decreases, and we're no longer into the kind of huge shock, but there's some things coming up that might significantly change that. Of course, links to all of these GPUs are going to be down in the video description so you can check out the latest pricing and availability. So where do GPU prices go from here? Well, before we even jump into used GPU prices, which are crazy right now, and I'll explain why, let's talk about the huge moment we're about to go through. There is about to be an explosion in the GPU market like we have never seen before. Let's start off with what's going on. Almost all of us know by now that GPU crisis was created by cryptocurrency miners, primarily Ethereum miners who use GPUs to mine Ethereum. The cryptocurrency exploded all the way up to $4,800 in value from just about nothing. People were paying any amount to get a GPU in order to mine on it because they thought they were going to make all that money back. And at the beginning of this year, or even early last year, as I've documented in my many videos, and I was telling you, GPU prices would return to normal when either Ethereum cratered or we got rid of it by moving to proof of stake. Well, what happened is Ethereum cratered. I actually didn't think it was going to crater. My bet was on proof of stake, but hey, either way, that's absolutely great. Got all the way down to $1,000, less than $1,000. And a lot of miners at that point, the profitability of mining just wasn't there. They were actually losing money on many of the GPUs, and they started flooding the used market with them. But ironically, what happened is as soon as Ethereum announced, hey, we're almost there, we've only got one more testnet, then we're going to go mainnet on September 19th, the value of Ethereum exploded because people have nothing to do with GPU mining. It has to do with where people see cryptocurrency going, and they think this is the major announcement that will help propel Ethereum beyond Bitcoin to make it kind of the adopted cryptocurrency. It's going to make it much more sustainable, much more energy efficient. And as a result of that, the price of Ethereum exploded from just about $1,000 to $1,821 right now, and it's continuing to go up. People are pricing in the value of Ethereum after the merge. But in the short term, what's happened is that miners have stopped selling off their GPUs because it's once again somewhat profitable to mine Ethereum. And a lot of these miners think that they're going to get even more, that the value of that Ethereum that they're mining now will continue to go up even beyond the merge. So they think that they're going to make a lot more. So overall, right now, what we've seen is that while a lot of miners jump ship, in fact, about 15%, if we look at the total hash rate of the Ethereum network, it was about 1,100. It's come down to about 920. You can see this big dip right here. And that big dip is when Ethereum cratered. A lot of people jumped ship. About 15% of Ethereum miners jumped ship, sold off their equipment. That's what cratered the used GPU prices. That's what cratered new GPU prices as we know them. But with Ethereum prices skyrocketing back up on news of the merge, miners are like, hey, I still have some runway left. It's making me some money. Why not just keep doing it? And about 85% 85% of miners are looks like they're just gonna mine all the way up into the end of this thing. Of course, that means on September 20th, the day after the merge, what's gonna happen? Yeah, you're gonna see the biggest flood of used GPUs you've ever seen, because if only 15% of miners giving up over the last month or two has absolutely cratered GPU prices, what is it gonna look like when the other 85% of them call it quits and start flooding the market with even more GPUs? How many GPUs are we looking at? Well, let's take a look. If you take the total hash rate of the Ethereum network, which is 920 million megahash, and you divide it by the hash rate of one GPU, like an RTX 3090, then you can see that there would be about 8 million RTX 3090 GPUs worth of miners still out there on the network, even after all those other folks sold off. And if we put it in a more like a GTX 1660 Super level of GPU, that's 31 million GPUs worth of GTX 1660 Supers sitting out there in terms of hash rate. They're going to come flooding back into this market. We're going to see an event like we have never witnessed before. But at least in the short term, miners have stopped selling their cards, or at least rapidly slowed their sale of their cards until September 19th. So with all that in mind, let's take a really quick romp through the used GPUs, and we won't spend too much time because the results are pretty evident, which is that, well, yes, prices for some cards, especially the least efficient mining cards, continue to come down because miners are getting rid of some of those very inefficient cards like the RX 570 and RX 580 now. They're holding on to the best cards right now, and in fact, some of those prices have gone back up. Shockingly, the RX 5700, 5700 XT, great mining cards. You can see the prices didn't budge at all. Similarly with the Vega cards, they actually went back up. It's pretty insane. Similarly with the 10 series and 9 series of GTX NVIDIA cards, you can see most of the pricing is flat, absolutely flat, except maybe like the GTX 970, which again, that is an inefficient mining card. Miners are still getting rid of that, but everything else they're holding on to right now. And if we look at the RTX 16 series as well as the 20 series, this is a Turing series of cards. You can see not only have some of the cards actually stopped going down or haven't gone down much at all, some of them like the 2070 have bounced back up, and 2080 Ti have bounced back up just a little bit. Of course, the huge thing to ask yourself is, what is the market going to look like, both new and used, when you can go out and get an RTX 3090 for like $300? I don't know if that's going to be the price. It could even be lower than that. That's how crazy things are about to get. So just buckle your seatbelts right now. Very quickly, I do want to talk about some of the rumors that RTX 4000 series GPUs are going to be delayed. Now, I think this hit last month. There was a lot of drama around it. I responded to a little bit of it, but I honestly don't like to get into rumors. NVIDIA and AMD are gonna do what they're gonna do. And your decision on whether or not to buy a GPU should be about you, shouldn't necessarily be about them. But of course, when it's time for a new generation to launch, this is kind of the exception to the rule, if you will. So yes, NVIDIA potentially delaying the RTX 4000 series GPUs into 2023 might change some of your buying decisions. I get that. Let me give you my take on it. I don't think there's any universe in which NVIDIA is going to delay the 4090. They are definitely going to launch the 4090 this year. We're expecting it in October. I'm also expecting the 4080 and the 4070. However, it is possible, if there is a lot of pain among the AIB partners of NVIDIA around how many RTX 3000 series GPUs that they have left to sell, I could see potentially NVIDIA kicking out the 4080 or maybe just the 4070 into 2023, basically pushing everything back. But they can't push it back by that much. Now, of course, you've got to plan in that when those GPUs come out, they're going to sell out immediately. And if you don't get one of the first batch, you're probably going to be waiting a month to 2 months for them to come back in stock to the point where you can actually buy them. So just factor that in. And of course, the other GPU development to keep in mind is Intel Arc. I went into this in my last Q&A. You can check that out if you want to see my full opinion on it. I've been very critical of how Intel has approached this. They've tried to do bite off more than they can chew, going high end to low end, all these new technologies they're trying to develop, as well as all the drivers. For me, if I were them, I would have just started at the low end and worked my way up generation over generation. But they did what they did. And at this point, it's even possible that the whole endeavor is doomed because it's not going to be profitable. They're doing some kind of internal assessment. That's the rumor. That's what's out there right now. And these GPUs may never launch. They were supposed to be here first quarter, then second quarter, then summer, and now we just got the Intel story. I don't even want to show it to you yet. I'm so upset about it. That says they're going to launch later this year. Well, I don't know what to tell you. Middle of August, as I'm filming this right now, there's not that much of this year left. So if you're going to launch something, you better do it soon. Let's go through the best price to performance GPUs at under $200 at 1080p high FPS, top 10 at 1440p, and then we'll talk about 4K as well. If you're not familiar with how we do this, we take the performance of all of these GPUs arrayed against each other that AMD and NVIDIA still support with driver updates, and we take the price, divide it by the performance, and we get a price to performance. If you want to use this spreadsheet yourself, the link to it is down in the video description. These are US-based prices, but you can put in your own prices here and use the spreadsheet for yourself. So if you're looking for the best value under $200 for 1080p gaming, you're still primarily looking in the used market. But the good news is, like, the GTX 970 has come all the way down to $100. Now, yes, I know that's a slightly older card. Don't want something quite that old. We've got the RX 580 at about $125. That's the level that you're looking for right now. Now, if you don't mind spending a little bit more, GTX 1070s, good value. However, I will say that the 1660 Super you can buy new for $220 right now, as well as the 1066 gigabyte for $145. So consider these different values. Maybe a new card is for you. When we look at high FPS 1080p gaming GPUs with no price cap on them, you can see that the RX 6600 really pops to the top of this thing. It's got an amazing price to performance right now, $249 for a massive amount of performance. In fact, 33% more performance than the RTX 3050 or the GTX 1660 Super, which is effectively the same card. GTX 1070, not a bad option, especially if you can pick one up even a little cheaper than $180. And of course, don't sleep on the 6600 XT. Now that it's come down under $300, the price to performance of that has really skyrocketed. If you absolutely have to have an NVIDIA GPU, the RTX 2060, you can pick it up right now for $230. Just know it has less performance than the 6600. Jumping over to 1440p capable gaming GPUs, obviously RX 6600 XT leading the way. Look at that price to performance, absolutely killing it. Now we've got a whole bunch of used GPUs underneath it that I just don't think the prices are there. I think that these are cards to take a look at if you're willing to buy a used GPU when Ethereum goes to the merge to proof of stake. I drop all the way to the 6700 XT, $429. And then we've got cards that are likely going to be superseded. I would hesitate before spending a lot of money on one of these GPUs. Now, take a look at the cards that aren't there. RTX 3060, RTX 3060 Ti. It's because the price to performance on them is really terrible right now. Jumping over to 4K gaming, again, I'm just going to repeat the same warning. These cards are all likely to be superseded by the end of the year. That being said, if you want something now, if you're just not willing to wait, you're like, Jason, I've been waiting for 2 years, then yeah, 6800 XT right now is my buy. Much more performance than the 3070 or 3070 Ti. If you have to have NVIDIA, yeah, I just don't like my options right now and I would wait. Let's play everybody's favorite game. Should you buy now or should you wait? And let's start at the high end because I think this is so clear. If you are at the high end, if you've somehow made it all this way and you wanted to buy a 3080 but it didn't work out and you couldn't get one and the prices were too high and you've waited and waited and waited. I mean, I hate to tell you wait again, but I would wait again. I would wait until I saw what AMD and NVIDIA launch, at least in October. You'll have a better idea of what's going to happen, and I would wait for those GPUs. It will also have a better sense of the pricing on them. Now let's flip the script. Let's say you're at the low end. Honestly, unless you're super budget constrained, and if you are super budget constrained, just wait. Ethereum's going to go proof of stake September 19th. And then I think in October, November, you're just going to be able to buy a lot of different 1080p GPUs very, very cheap, maybe as low as 50, 60 bucks. So just hang on there. But if you're more in the mid tier, and you want, especially if you want a new card, RX 6600, what is it going to get? 50 bucks cheaper in a couple of months? Remember, this is not stocks and bonds. Your job is not to buy this and wait for it to go up or not go down in value. Your job is to get enjoyment out of it. This is a hobby. So if you're not having fun doing that, don't do that. Go out and buy something now. If you were looking for our GPU prices around the world, fear not. We've taken it out of this video and we're going to put it in a social media segment. We're going to try something new. So follow us over on Twitter at PCBuilderJason, and we're going to launch it there. It should be a lot of fun. Speaking of cool content, let's talk about the best builds at 1080p, 1440p, and 4K. In this video right here, we go through 3 builds starting at $600. It's absolutely insane. You got to check it out. and we'll catch you on the next one.